Hello, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of PEX Live Process Mining 2021. I'm joined here with Mikhail Rosek at Minute, and he's going to be talking about process mining methodology. Mythology, sorry. Um, Before we do kick things off for the first session today, I just want to reiterate some of the messages that I've included on the homepage today. Anyone who experienced some tech issues yesterday, we are very sorry for that. We have resolved the issue. There should be enough bandwidth for more than enough people to join this platform and all of the sessions today. You should also be able to comment in the chat. Please do message in, say hello. I'm dialing in from London. It's cloudy today, unfortunately. It was sunny yesterday, but this is British weather for you all. So yeah, message in the chat. Let us know where you're all dialing in from. We'd love to know. Please do stay engaged with us and Mikhail during the session as well. I'm sure you have loads of questions for him and he'll be very happy to respond to them after his presentation. So Mikhail, where are you dialing in from today?
Yeah, so I'm from Bratislava, Slovakia. And we have a sunny weather.
Yep.
Expecting
lucky.
some rain at the end of the week, but it's sunny and nice.
Yep, predictable for March weather. All right, so let's kick things off then. I'm going to shoot off and I'll be back for the Q&A. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Thank you very much for joining this presentation and the whole event. I hope you are enjoying the event. We are seeing a lot of very nice talks that hopefully will drive your businesses in the future. And for today, to start a bit in a light tempo, I chose a topic which I called process mining mythology. And we will be talking also about methodology as well. And as Jennifer said, my name is Michal Rosik. I'm working as a Chief Product Officer at Mineit, one of the process mining vendors and process intelligence platform vendors. And when we are talking about process mining, we're talking about a lot of different information that is coming with this technology into the business, into the technology field, that is coming from academics, that is coming from world. And I would like to, in this talk, talk about the most common, let's say, myth or tales or topics that are kind of repeating and coming back to us from potential customers, from existing customers, from partners, from around the world. And people are asking this basically questions, and I would like to kind of explain and say a bit, a word or two about how to deal with those questions. And of course, it is not the full list of questions or myths that we are hearing about process mining and the topics around process mining today. So I would like to really, if you have any other topics, if you are confronted with other myths, please just get in touch with us either through the chat right now or later on through email or any other communication channel, and we will be very happy to talk about this topic. So I think when we are talking about mythology, we can start with Greek mythology. We can start with this kind of narratives that are passed from generation to generation and that are kind of forming really our society and have been forming our society for many, many years. And what is a myth? Well, it's basically a tale, some narrative that is where the main hero is mostly a god or demigod or someone with superpowers. And we've been formed by this kind of narratives from our school time, and we are hearing these narratives right now as well. We are dealing with mythology with our children and so on. And even through those years, the mythology and the myth, this phenomena did not vanish at all. It just transformed. It transformed in this new age mythology, and like in a very similar way, how Greek gods and demigods had their fan clubs and their followers. We are right now seeing the fights between the Marvel fans and the DC fans and so on. So it just transformed into something new, and we are still seeing people really tending to look at some human-like figures with some superpowers. And this mythology also influences our daily life, and we are confronted with a little bit different type of myth, and we are talking about conspirational theories, we are talking about fake news, we are confronted with that now in the COVID-19 era, and unfortunately the business world is no exception. With the new technology coming into the business world, and process mining being one of it, we need to fight and deal with those myths also in the business world. Now, Professor Mark Lorch is one of the people who studies this kind of phenomena and mythology in the business world. And he had this very famous study where he started with a simple tweet that you can see here. He tweeted this kind of pattern of zeros and ones, and asked the public if they can see a pattern in there. And as you can see, the result was quite, balanced. Like half of the people saw a pattern there, and half of the people did not see a pattern there. Now, Professor Lorch after that revealed that this pattern was created by him flipping a coin, right? So if the coin flipped on one side, it was a 0. If it flipped on the other side, it was a 1. So there was actually no pattern at all, but half of the people just saw the pattern. So basically, why is it so appealing? Why are we seeing patterns where there is no pattern at all, and why are we tending towards this kind of fake news, conspiracy theories, or even mythology? Well, he explained that we as human beings have a need for structure. We like to see our brain likes to see structure in things. No matter if there is any structure, but we are tending to see the structure. We are very much formed by pattern recognition. Our brain is able to see patterns, and you can see that with things like op art and this kind of optical illusions, where we see patterns even when there are no patterns. We are kind of biased by this, and we have this tendency to see patterns everywhere. There's also a third point, and that's peer pressure. And peer pressure is something that when we see that a certain group of people, like in this case, sees a pattern in something, and we do not see it, we are, under a pressure that there's something wrong with us, that we don't understand things. So we are trying to be really seeing the same or trying our best, and not even being honest in saying there is no pattern in something published in this tweet. There's also a confirmational bias. People are biased by different opinions, but in a very strange way. And Professor Lorch also mentioned in the study a certain situation when he was confronted with a group of people in a train saying some, were believing some fake news, some conspirational theories, and they were very excited about that and arguing about it. And he was the one who was listening, and then he kind of stated several arguments which were against that theory. Now, the result of that was not persuading those people that their opinion is wrong, but the opposite. The people just took the opposite action, and they were persuaded that their opinion is right, that his approach arguing against that was actually raising their confidence in believing to that fake news or conspirational theory. And of course, it's simplification. And that is something very important in this business world. Business people are good at doing business, at their processes, at their customer journeys, at what they do in their business. Now they are confronted with technologies which are being more and more complex, and giving them more and more data, more and more results and insights. And they sometimes do not understand what is going on. So anything that is kind of simplifying that world, that world they are not living in, the tech world, is just something they would like to believe in, just as in this kind of theories. So now let's go to the myths one by one. And let's start with the one mining to rule them all. And we will be talking about process mining, but not only process mining. We are also seeing other technologies like task mining or process discovery. There are many names used here. And the question is, like, how many minings do we have? And is it really necessary to do process mining? Is there any other technology that is kind of being a simpler version of process mining? So let's have a look. And we start with a regular object. Yeah, we all know this is a car, right? But it can be your process. We experience some problem in there, right? So what we can do is we deconstruct it, right? We know some basic deconstruction. This is deconstruction to a certain level where we can understand individual parts of that car, right? So we can see there's some, windshield, there are doors, there's motor, there are suspensions, we see wheels. So this is something that everyone can understand. Everyone with some knowledge of how the car is built can understand. It depends just on the knowledge of the person into how much detail he or she wants to go, right? But if we are experiencing some problem, let's say in the motor, this kind of deconstruction will not help us, right? So what we need to do is basically we need to call a specialist, because that's the motor is actually where our knowledge ends. And that specialist will take the motor and do a much detailed deconstruction. So something like we see in this picture, right? And this is basically your business process deconstructed from what we call level 0 to level 5. From car to simply individual screws, individual ventils, individual parts. Now, you need several specialists that know each part of that. Mostly, if you want to repair something in the motor, you will not call a person that will be usually repairing your upholstering on your seats, right? Something that is repairing leather on the seats is this knowledge is not usable in the motor. So when we look at it from the business perspective and perspective of process mining, here we see a business process basically disassembled. So we see a financial supply chain, then we go to a procure to pay on the level 1. We see the individual activities for purchasing planning, initiate purchasing, and so on. Process mining takes care of level 0 to level 3 approximately, right? Depending on the process and on the detail. Now, that is something where you just stop with the process mining because that's too much details, and then you need to call the specialist to look at the level 4 and level 5, because that's exactly what the people are doing in those individual activities. Now, nice idea. That's how it works. Perfect. Now, let's go from the opposite direction. And this is the myth. This is something that we are encountering with several customers. Let's imagine we have this set of individual parts, and we call someone, some specialist, and say, please build something out of it, right? Build my process. And now you will see, okay, we have these cylinders there, we have the suspensions there. So it looks like it could be, a car, right? But at the end, it's something different, right? So even if we have the same level of specialist and we try to build from the most granular particles, we can end up building in something that actually is not what we are expecting. Now, why is this bottom-up approach so appealing? Why do people want to go from individual parts up to the higher level and to the process and not the opposite direction? Well, the first thing is integration. They expect there is no need for complex data gathering. We don't need event logs from different information systems. Task mining is very appealing because you just record people, and then from that you build up your process. The second thing why is it so appealing is that actually it keeps the tempo. Many companies started with the automation first approach. They immediately starting automating. They are automating these low-hanging fruits, and they want to keep the tempo of automation. And this is something like when we are introducing process mining into this equation, we are saying, please do 2 steps back, understand your process, optimize your process, do something about it, re-engineer it, and then go to task mining. And only if you see the problem in that particular activity, just use task mining to find that problem in your motor, in your leather, in your upholstering, and so on. But that's something that gives too much effort, and they feel they are losing the tempo. So that's why is it so appealing. And then of course complexity. Analysis of the existing processes might seem very complex. So gathering the data, analyzing it, re-engineering the process. But in this way, we just record the people, and then we call some magician, some god, some demigod technology that will just snap the fingers and everything will be built up. Now the bottom-up approach is also good, of course, and we see the bottom-up approach in constructions and everywhere around us. But the point is, bottom-up approach is good when you have the knowledge, when you have the plans, when you know what you are building. And that's exactly where process mining and task mining can collaborate. So how does it help in the RPA context, in the context of automation? Well, first, you use the process mining to identify what actually we are building, what actually we are examining, and where the potential problems might be in the process. Then you call the specialist to disassemble that, just that particular part, so very focused. And then you optimize that part, maybe with automation, maybe with RPA, but there are many other ways how to optimize that process. And then, of course, do not forget about the monitoring of the processes to be able to prevent such problems in the future. Now, here's a case study of a project we did for a manufacturing company. And PO2PR analysis, we analyzed this process, and we used exactly that approach. So first, we applied process mining to understand the process, to find what we call really points for sniper task mining. So these are the points for applying task mining, doing the task mining analysis, because that's what the specialists do, and then taking the results, putting it into end-to-end process, and giving some suggestions. Well, we had really around 50% higher yield of automation. We had around $2 million of US dollars savings on that over the upcoming 5 years, just with automation of one activity. Sometimes the enterprises think that we must automate a lot, right? Here you can see that also with a very precise task mining, very precise optimization, you can just automate one activity and you get big results. But what is more important is the third figure, and that's even higher additional saving, which was found in other re-engineering or rework findings that were found when the process mining and task mining were used together. So we found out that the automation can help, but there are other things like training, like reducing rework, like reducing deviations in the process that will have even higher impact on the overall process than it was with automation. Now, the second myth about process mining, and it's more like something that enterprises expect, and we see this with, let's imagine you buy a switch, right, into your local network at your home, and what you do is basically you plug the cables and it works, right? If you buy a router, a Wi-Fi router, you need some a little bit of configuration, but it basically works, right? And you expect something like that from process mining, right? You plug it into your infrastructure. The process mining magic will gather the data, and it will find out the insights, right? So we are searching here for a silver bullet to do that work for us. Now, this is a myth, and we are expecting this plug and play behavior, right? This is a myth that actually I would not like to bust completely, because process mining just isn't plug and play. You just need to do stuff, and it is more. I would maybe put it like playing with Lego, right? It fits together nicely. You can build very interesting stuff out of it, but you need some, imagination and skills to do that. But just basic skills, because even a 5-year-old child can build Lego. So here on the right side, we see that that black box, that magic black box, and that black box is consuming event logs and data, and is outputting insights into your business. And that event log should be taken from some data sources that you have in your enterprises, in your companies. Now, how to connect this? Because from the data source to the event log, there is some path. And that black box is called process mining. There is some magic, some algorithms working in there. They're producing insights, but over those years, everything is already identified in there. For the first part, you need a connector, or a data pipeline. You need to build up something that will consume the data source and transform it into the event log. And some companies already have these data pipelines for other projects, for BI projects, for analytics of different kind, and you can reuse that. And of course, some companies have a fear to build something like that, but the point is you build this just once. And the nice part is that when you receive another data source, you can just easily plug and play, and you can plug it into the existing data pipeline, right? So this might look a little bit more technical. This is something that we show to our customers and partners. This is how it works. So there's, and I know it looks complicated, but it's basically the thing that you've seen on the previous slide. It's very simple. There's still some need for data pipeline, for business connector that will take the data from that system or set of systems that the business users on the left side are using, and then transforming it into the right form for process mining. Some exercise that you really do, but you do it once, and then you can reuse it for many other processes. Now, the third topic is about sustainability, eco, bio. We are seeing this a lot in today's world. And now a question, what do these things on that slide have in common? Well, they are sustainable. There is always a cycle. You can recycle them, you can upcycle them. A good methodology, looking at business process management, at lean, there's always a cycle. There's always something that is coming back to the beginning, just like with the recyclable straws. Now, is process mining different? Many times we hear customers saying that process mining is a one-time thing. You take the past data snapshot, you do the process mining analysis, and then you have some output, which is process improvement suggestions, right? And you do this once, and there's no need to, why do we need to have it in our company? There are different ways how to build a business case around that, and we'll talk about this in a second. But how does the loop close in this case? Well, you are looking, the missing arrow is in the exceptions and the business rules, right? So when we are talking about the business process improvements, we are talking about finding the exceptions in the process, stating the KPIs on top of that, and then building the business rules on top of these exceptions, because we don't want the exceptions and the bad KPIs to be happening again. So we can close that loop just by scheduling a regular data refresh functionality. So we are not only looking at the past data snapshot, we are taking the data from that data source in a regular way. So that's near real-time data refresh. Then what you build in is business rules. You set up business rules, you set up your exceptional behavior, you categorize it into multiple severities, so business rules evaluation, and then you build interactive snapshot dashboards on top of that. So something that will show you the actual state of that analysis. And this is just closing the loop. Process mining can live in your company and every time give you the actual results of the analysis. So this is something that really is to stay in your company to be able to monitor your processes, your end-to-end processes, and have the improvements checked and evaluated again. Okay, another thing about process mining is that many times we hear that process mining tells me what is wrong, there's something non-optimal, there's something non-efficient, but it will not tell me why. And this is evolving, and this is something that was maybe true some years ago, but it's not true anymore. And let's make a short trip to history. 2017. 2017 was an interesting year. Many things happened. One of them was the introduction of iPhone X. And now, this would be nothing very special, but the reviews on the introduction of that was, basically, if you read those reviews from the most important newspapers, it was about design. Like there is lack of design, there is lack of innovation in that. What do we do with memojis or animojis? There is not much innovation in that iPhone X. The problem is that not many people have seen this slide because it was very technical. It was presented for a short while, but the important thing with iPhone X was that you suddenly had a neural engine in hardware form in your chip, in your smartphone. And that is exactly what allows all the developers of the new applications to use artificial intelligence, to use machine learning algorithms with enormous speed directly on your device. And this is exactly true in process mining world. Process mining is a technology that cannot live alone. It just needs other technologies to support it. And also process mining is a technology that is able to support other technologies, as we've seen with the example of RPA. Now, artificial intelligence is used right now, and not only in mine, but also in the other vendors' products, and is answering precisely those questions. This is a case study from a telco operator where we were analyzing the customer journey. I think it was in the United States, and we were able to we were analyzing and identifying the fallout in the customer journey, how the cases are falling out, and what is the root cause. The telco operator basically asked, what is the root cause? Why are there so many fallouts? And we were being able to really achieve a success rate of 89%. And the reason why is that we introduced a AI-powered technology that is taking the data analyzed by the process mining algorithms and just giving a more flavor on top of that with the AI, finding the root causes of these potential and existing problems that we find in the business processes. So root cause analysis explains why. It really looks at the data that we have in the event log and just uses the algorithms to train the models and give you the results, how the process or why the process deviates from the ideal process. Now, the reason why this was very popular and gave the results is that many times when you are working with this kind of technology, you see a lot of settings, a lot of checkboxes, sliders. You need to set up parameters that we don't understand. This is a functionality, and this must be a functionality that is not for the tough guys. So every power user can just select and leave it to the magic of process mining to get the results. So that's not anymore true that process mining gives you just the what answers, but also the why answers. And finally, when we are talking about applying process mining in enterprises, we hear about this guy called ROI, and it's about ROI there. So what actually or who actually is this ROI? And when the enterprises are talking about this return on investment and then applying process mining technology in their enterprises, they are talking about building a business case, right? They must argue, they must make a good decision, they must convince the stakeholders. They need to provide how much value is there, what are the benefits, what are the just suggestions, and so on and so on. So business case, these enterprises are spending months and months building a business case for process mining. Now, the building of the business case is quite complex with process mining, and let's take an example again of from a car industry. So you have 3 people, they have cars, an old-timer, a nice reminder of childhood, very emotional. It's slow. It is very costly to operate it, and many times leaves you, like in the middle of nowhere, searching for some spare parts. Or you have a supercar, fun to ride, fast, sexy, nice, beautiful, also very costly to operate, very costly to maintain, very costly to even buy, and on some roads it's quite problematic to drive it, but it's fun. And then you have a van, plenty of room, fits most occasions, cheap operations, takes a lot of people, and the fun, yeah, you need to build it on your own. Now, let's take an imaginary process mining, or in this car mining example. How do we analyze this situation? What would we suggest as an improvement? Well, we can say, okay, you don't need this old-timer. It's fine that it reminds you of your childhood, but you better buy something that you can use on a regular basis. So that improvement might be around 80%. If you buy something like a van or a regular car. With supercar, what we can do, well, it's hard to say. Maybe we can exchange it for a Tesla, right? So the operation cost will go down. It's still fun. It's still sexy. It's still nice to drive. It's better on bad roads. So the improvement might be 20% because it still costs a lot of money. With van, well, we will look at your needs. You have a larger family. That's fine. It's not so costly. So you're fine. Your improvement is 0%. And I've seen these examples. Now, the question is like, how much would you pay? What would be your return on investment on an analysis that will tell you that your improvement will be 0%, right? I guess not much. At least if you want to argue and somehow argument this or discuss with your stakeholders or your management. They will say, like, we do not save any costs. We do not save anything. We don't have improvement. Well, then why would we buy process mining? Or in this case, case mining? Well, the improvements, it's very hard to, predict what the improvement will bring. That's why process mining platforms or tools like Mineit offer you a way how to test drive these improvements, how to test drive on your data, using, for example, simulations or what-if scenarios. So you can simulate your potential changes, re-engineering of the process, and get the results and the comparison to the original one. Now, this all comes, however, to a term that was introduced by Professor Bill van der Aalst in, I think it was 2019, and he was talking about something called process hygiene, right? And he was asked by in an interview and about the business case on process mining, and he said, like, do you have any business case if you are washing your hands? Do you have any business case if you are brushing your teeth? Do you need a business case for that? How much value does it bring to you? Of course, there's some value. You do not get some illness, you are safer, but still, it doesn't, save you much money. And just to quote him, process mining is something that can be seen as the mean to ensure process hygiene. It should be in your company just to ensure that your processes are working well, even if they have been working well before. So these were just 5 topics, myth. I call it myth. Maybe you are encountering other ones, and I would be very glad to discuss with you and hear them. It was probably not the main point to completely bust them, but maybe just to explain them. So to summarize this process mining mythology, the first point I would take, and I would in this summary not just tell you that we've busted 5 myths. That's not the point. The point is to take these simple sentences. The first one is there is no shortcut, and that means that if you want to do a proper analysis using process mining, that if you want to optimize your processes, there's no shortcut on that. You need to do the work, and we are here to help you as vendors and consulting companies, our partners that can really help you to go that longer path, but with a better result. If you want to grow tomatoes, you need to get your hands dirty with soil. That's just the truth. And if you want to work with business processes and analyze them, you need to get hands dirty with data. So to build data pipelines, to build connectors, even if everyone is having right now a ready-made connector for any particular system, many of these systems are customized. And there is nothing like a plug-and-play, ready-to-use silver bullet in that. It's always about this iterative work with data. Third point, your process deserves polishing. Your processes are valuable in this time more than ever. And having a good working process is not something taken for granted. It should be something that should be polished and should be, oiled a bit and taken care of. Fourth, find the reason why not. And this is something like a quote or paraphrase from Professor van der Aalst, because in that famous interview, he also said, like, many companies are trying to find a reason why to use process mining and process intelligence technologies in their business processes. Now, the right question is trying to find a reason why not to use it. And finally, wash your hands. This has nothing to do with process mining or business processes. Just wash your hands. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, if you have any questions, we'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Mikhail. All right, so we do have some time for a Q&A. So if you do have any questions for Mikhail, then please do include them in the chat box now, and we will start facilitating going through them all. So we did have a few questions in here earlier. Let's start with one from Khalid. A question. So if a single activity has multiple users or actors, how do you map the process for that activity? He's also mentioned that using swim lane is not always the best solution.
Yes, so if I understand correctly, well, we have this or maybe I would start from a different direction. In most of the event logs and the data that we've seen from information systems, we have multiple resources, human resources, even in some cases, technical resources for the same activity. So that's not a problem for process mining. It gathers the information, it calculates the statistics. We can, if we have the information about your organizational structure or the structure of the resources, we can also do something like what we call hierarchical process mining, where you can drill down into that organizational structure and that particular activity and look at it from different sides. So that's not a problem. Process mining is usable also in technical areas. So we've seen uses, and we have uses in the world of IoT, looking at technical connectivity of different systems. So something like orchestration of automated processes, where the resources are not human resources, but automated resources. We also encourage in the area of RPA to do the monitoring of the bots using the process mining. So you have an end-to-end process view on that particular business process, not just the view on bots performing their actions and humans performing their actions, because most of these processes are just hybrid, I would say. So that's not a problem, and we have a lot of different views on the particular process to accommodate that as well. Also in the simulations, we are using like resource pools for simulating for particular activities. Now we are preparing in the next version of the simulation engine, we are preparing also the possibility to assign individual resources to multiple activities, or of course multiple resources performing the same activity, and you can modify that. I cannot hear you, Jennifer. Sorry.
Sorry, I had myself on mute. There were a few participants who were saying that my voice is doubling up. I've just got a tech team on board as well, which has mentioned that they're not experiencing the double audio. So if you are, then please do refresh your screen and it should clear up. All right, so just referring back to some of your slides, Mikkel, in your opinion of all these process mining myths and common misconceptions, sorry, is it just in your opinion, are these all common myths, or are they just your opinions?
Well, I've selected these 5 because we are experiencing this kind of topics rising very often when we talk with customers or even people just interested in process mining. And at Mineit, we always take the honest approach to the customer. So we try to not to overpromise things. Like for example, in the plug and play example, it just if it's not easy, then it's better to tell that there is some work behind that, but we can help you with that. So it is topics that we encounter from most customers when they are entering this technology field or this process mining initiative, and it also is something that they sometimes take from this, I would say, bad angle, and then it prolongs that initiative and time needed, like building this business case and so on. And we want to encourage the customers to and the organizations to not be afraid of that, but expect some, like have the real expectations out of it. So
okay, and so it's great to understand these myths, but how about some of the inflated marketing pushed by vendors? Do you have a general rule to see through that?
Yeah, well, we really try to base everything we do on data. Process mining is all about data. That's why I also mentioned getting the hands dirty. We are not afraid to get hands dirty with data, and we actually say to our customers that we need to do that, and you need to do that. So anytime, we do not really like to promise things. Even the case studies that you've seen here are real projects, real, maybe in some cases a POC or POV, but on the data from the customer, and the result is something that we found in the data, that we consulted with the customer, and it also transforms into this finding of the business case and return on investment. That's why for me it's very hard to say, when you apply process mining, the return on investment is half a year. I don't know. It's very individual. Each process is different. Each company is different. And we really like to put our effort into this data analytics. And if we say something, we back it up with the data.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm conscious of the time because we are at the 45-minute mark. So I will wrap up things now. There were a couple of comments that came through at the last minute. But if you do have any other questions, then I'm sure the Minute team will get back to you after this event. You can also visit them in their booth by clicking on the booth button in the top right corner. Mikhail and his colleague Daniel will be available to respond to any questions. If you do want to find out more about Minute as well, there are also downloadable assets within this session and within their booth. So there's attachments there on the RPA guide. There's also a 5-step guide to select process mining software. Also a free process mining guide, which shares 4 case studies. So please do download and take a look at that ASAP. All right, then, that's all for now. Mikhail, do you have any final words before I let you go?
Yeah, thank you very much for joining this presentation. And I would just repeat, if you are experiencing or have seen any other myths or this kind of fake news in process mining, if you are not sure about what is true and what is not true, what to expect, just get in touch with us, ask questions. We are very glad to answer them and discuss that topic with you.
Amazing. All right. So the next.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. The next session is about to begin in around 12 minutes. It's a sponsored session by Magnitude on how to turn SAP process insights into business improvements. And it's a make or buy decision. So join the next session in 12 minutes. It's in the next room. And in the meantime, please do feel free to visit the Expo booths. On the left of your screen, there is a menu at the bottom of that menu bar at the Expo hall. If you just click on that, you can visit all of the Expo halls, download more assets, and find out more about the sponsors at this event. I'll see you all soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.